Good afternoon on what is a cool, grey and slightly blustery day. It is Friday the 18th of November and I'm back in the reading nook and I've got a nice hot cup of tea and a parcel to box. So I've pulled out a couple of things already from this, and the next one I'm going to look at is the Strangeland, which is actually a scenario I just picked up from Fanboy 3. And it's for Space 1889. Now, essentially, that's the role-playing game published by Game Designers Workshop in 1989. Arguably the first steampunk role-playing game, which begins with Thomas Edison developing the ether propeller in 1870, being able to visit first the moon and then Mars, and on Mars discovering civilizations. And the fact that you have canal Martians who live on cities connected by canals, and you've got steppes Martians and hill Martians and so on. And then of course you've got the drive by the imperial powers of Earth to go and colonise and trade and so on. So all of the tensions and kind of are thrown across the inner solar system to Venus and Mercury and Mars, and sort of like exacerbated by local situations as well. So it's everything that Jules Verne could have written, everything H.G. Wells should have written, everything Arthur Conan Doyle thought of but never published because it was too fantastic. Now, originally published by Game Designers Workshop in 1989, it was kept in publication by Heliograph in sort of like turn of the century, and then Pinnacle Entertainment Group published Space 1889 Red Sands, which was a setting and campaign book. That was 2010, and then we'll get after that. A bit after that, Clockwork Publishing, which is a German publisher, produced a version for the Ubiquity system, which is what this is originally published for. But this is the Savage Worlds version, so it's compatible with Space 1889 Red Sands. But it's available in both editions, and you could adapt it if you really had to. Anyway, so this is the Strangeland. Far away from his home planet, Canal Martian boy Kimmy lives on the estate of Lord Feltham Hythe, who shows the orphan child off to entertain his curious guests during his illustrious dinner parties. Not only does Kimmy come from a foreign planet, he also has the most extraordinary talent. His lifting glad is rudimentarily functional, allowing him to levitate in the air, although exhausting him visibly. At one of these dinner parties, the adventurers have the pleasure of meeting this remarkable Martian. However, the boy disappears the same night, and it's up to the player characters to search for him immediately. Their first trace leads them to a dubious travelling circus, and in the end, the adventurers find themselves on the front lines in the London dock workers' strike. Now, the London dock workers' strike did take place in 1889, but it's got a very different character because of the Space 1889 feel. So in part 2, the characters can then choose to meet Kimmy right again on Mars, hired by a British officer, in part who the adventurers are involved in a conflict between the local potentate and the former orphan boy Kimmy, who in the meantime has become a figurehead of the Martian canal workers. The British colonial power has, of course, its own interests. So, it cover shows Kimmy in the act of levitating outside the circus, and inside, basically, we've got character recommendations, details of Earth, and then we get on to sort of like Lord Feltham Hythe, and then the dinner party, so on, his estate, the invitation, and his various guests, and then the dinner party itself, the engaging conversation and the like, and the difficulties sort of like dealing at the event where you have people of different social classes. And then what happens during the night when Kimmy goes missing, and the player characters then have to go chasing after him. And we get to a carnival, and it's a fairly rotten place. And this is currently where John Merrick, the Elephant Man, is on display as a Venetian pasha, along with others, because rather than sort of like showing off the wonders of the Asian cryptids, everything is Mars mad, so it's all gone sort of like so it's got like a Martian or Venusian feel to it, or sort of like Codswallop, of course, it's just paint and just smoke and mirrors and that sort of thing. So yeah, we have sort of like they've got to search the tents, find the missing boy, discover how vile that the circus is, and then unfortunately they track him down, but Kimmy's already gone. And he's off to London, and then here he has become a figurehead for a dock workers' strike. Now, what's interesting about this is in the space in where the great docks of London are really great commercial hubs, not really for passengers but for goods and produce coming into and going out of the sort of like the capital of the empire. But what we've got as well is the aerial docks that literally float above London, kept afloat by the liftwood, which has come from Mars. So here, zeppelins and aerial flyers and cargo haulers can dock high above the city, which gives it a fantastic feel. You know, the player and essentially the dock workers have occupied it, so the player character's got to try and find a way to get up to it, and there's several means involved, and there's NPCs that the characters can meet. So you know, it might well be they run into an inventor who uses a self-inflating balloon. That's not going to go wrong, of course, is it? No, not at all. So all sort of like chance to meet Kimmy and sort of like a rousing kind of conclusion between the striking dock workers and the strike breakers, so on. And then Kimmy, of course, is rescued at the end. And then in the second part, this was on Mars, and we're dealing here with, you know, Kimmy's become essentially a radical, been radicalised by the British Labour movement, and is campaigning for a truer vision of Mars, where, you know, the division of labour is so much more equal. It's dealing with there's the local Martian potentate Shun, who is actually a rival of Kimmy's late father, and so on. There's a hostage situation. The pumping station that the strikers on Mars have occupied. Now, the pumping station is a device which maintains the flow or levels of water in the canals that connect the cities, because Mars is a dying world, drying up, and it's only here in the canals that there are really any major expanses of water. So yeah, that comes all to an end. So this is it's a much shorter part, and here we've got a map of the aerial docks of London. So it's a neat little scenario. I mean, what it nicely does, I think, here is you've got sort of tensions between the employers, the industrialists, and the labourers, and especially if you've got characters who player characters who are working class or of a radical persuasion. There's lots to dig into here and role play. Nicely getting in sort of like into an aspect of Victorian life, which Space Age 89 never always does, because it's sort of like it tends to be kind of pitched from, you know, an imperialist point of view, exploring the wider solar system. But here it's done through a sort of like more social, industrial, and industrial relations methods. So yeah, really kind of like this little scenario. It's quite enjoyable as written. Of course, there's if you do click on the link down below to the review of it, you will find not just the review, but also our experience of actually playing this at Gen Con in 2022, and find out just why this was the worst scenario we played at Gen Con. Now, I didn't know that this scenario, I don't hardly remember, but I sort of like came across it last week, the other weekend, when I was at Grog Meet 2022 in Manchester, and they had a copy going cheap, so I picked it up there. So yeah, I grabbed it and I'm going to look at it, see how bad the scenario is. And the scenario is good, but we had a terrible playing experience. But you'll find all about that in the link below. Do go and have a read of that. Anyway, Hope you've enjoyed this unboxing in the Nook. If you have, then please do click on the like button down below. And of course, if you've got any console feedback, appreciate you taking the time to post those. And lastly, if you want to be alerted to yet more unboxings in the Nook, where you will see me out here with a parcel containing a book or game which I will unbox and chat about to the best extent of my knowledge for roughly 10 minutes or so, all of course accompanied by a nice hot cup of tea. Then please do click on the like button, click on the subscribe button down below. Once again, thanks for watching another unboxing in the Nook. I'll be back again soon with another one. Bye for now.